All right, here we are. It is yet another morning doing more things in the morning than we've ever done before. My brain is full of things this morning. I watched a lot of informative videos, none of which that I'm like super terribly addicted to or like, oh my gosh, that is mind-blowing, but it's enough to get you thinking, and that's largely the reason why I watch the videos in the morning, is to get my thought process turning so that hopefully I can get some good thoughts going for this video here. And I had a lot of them that I was juggling when I was thinking about talking to you guys. And I think one of them that I wanted to kind of settle on is like practical accomplishments versus creative accomplishments. There's no doubt that it feels better, for me at least, to have creative accomplishments than it does to have practical accomplishments. And maybe part of that is because I've already had a good chunk of practical accomplishments. Why do I keep wanting to say compliments? That now is my time to strive creatively. But I was doing the math, and if I doubled down on the more practical things, I could probably be doing some great things financially by the time I'm 31, assuming everything goes and continues this current way that it is. But alternatively, that would mean cutting back on all the practical things that I have, or all the creative things that I've been trying to do to grow myself, because a lot of the money that I'm spending these days is on the creative adventures that I am using to try and grow myself. And I hear the popular advices all the time to like not spend your own money on these things, and to get investors and get other people's money to put towards these projects. But I don't know, the way that feels right to me is to invest in my own product. And everybody says that it takes money to make money, and I think that that is absolutely true. And so I don't want to just abandon the idea of spending money on this, but to the same end, I do wonder if I'm spending too much on it, or if by chance I could spend less and buckle down elsewhere. I think a lot about my plan to retire at 45, and I'm still making good progress and good strides towards that goal. But if I'm being completely honest with myself, it's not as much progress as I feel that I should be able to make, or that I am making, or could make, or can make. And it's interesting to me to kind of look at that and be like, okay, what can I do differently? Like, I have a plan in my head of what I can do, and each month I come up short of that plan, but I still make significant enough progress that it doesn't really matter. And so then I frequently sit and kind of think about, okay, well, if that's the case, if I do X and Y, then what happens next? And it's interesting to compare and contrast the two, because the more practical accomplishments are easier to accomplish. That's not to say that they are easy to accomplish by any means, but it's easier to kind of take care of myself in a practical sense than it is to try and build an audience to enjoy and support my work. That is much more difficult. And so it's like, do I say to heck with it and create as much as I can create and put out as much as I can put out, but not put so much financial effort into making it happen? Or do I continue down that road and give it all that I've got and hope that it turns into something before I'm 70? Because that really defeats the purpose. There's a lot of authors and stuff who don't hit that major success marker until they're in their 60s or 70s, and it's like, at that point it's pointless. Like, the whole point of me doing this is so that I can walk away from the working world before I'm too old to enjoy the living life. And obviously the idea of being too old for something is kind of an odd concept in and of itself. One can be, I've seen people in their 60s who are still very much so alive and young and sprung and getting stuff done. I've also seen people in their 60s who are old and decrepit and on the verge of something else. And so seeing those both sides of that coin gives me hope that, like, just because I'm going to be 60 one day doesn't mean that I have to do so in terrible health. But it's also a gamble. Like, that's, for me, that's 30 years down the road. Like, a lot can happen in that time, and I may not, if I'm being honest with myself, may not even make it that far. We don't know. But the thing to me that I need to figure out for myself is, what am I focusing on? What am I going to want? And it's hard to do because there's so much time but also so little time. There's so many things but so few things. It's, unless you break out of the financial rat race at a very young age, it's hard to get everything in that you want to do. My focus here lately has been on Compression Man and trying to make that animation something worth watching, something fun to see, and then trying to get it out in the world as well. But at what point in time do I give up on it, if ever? The cliched answer is never give up, never stop chasing your dreams. But to the same end, you don't want to waste your time, or at least I don't want to waste my time. And like I said, if I get to that prime age and I've still not seen any significant progress, I feel like, heck, even if I continue on my current path and by 35 have not seen significant progress, I will probably abandon it. It's hard to keep going when you don't feel like it's worth your time. And I feel like I've reached a place now, creatively or on YouTube or wherever, where unless I'm spending the money to get noticed, I just don't get noticed. I, for a very long time, released tons and tons and tons of content on Instagram, and it was a good probably 2 or so years of my life where every day when I parked at work, I would film a fun little video and I'd put it up there. And eventually I just got tired of the fact that they never went anywhere and they weren't going to go anywhere. And I tried to make the most of idle time. Like these videos here, I'm driving to and from work every day regardless of what's going on. I ought as well make a video while I'm doing it. The problem is it is very hard to make a traditional YouTube video that's going to get attention while driving to work. It's going to be very much so me spewing out my thoughts, which is just all that it's been, and that's perfectly fine. But Is it going to help me reach the end goal? And the answer to that is I don't honestly know. No one honestly knows what the future has in store for them. I could just keep pushing these videos out and never go anywhere. Some random semi-famous person can find Compression Man, really enjoy it, decide to pump it out, and tell the whole world to watch it. I have no idea where this is going. Giving up is certainly not an ideal option. It's not something that I want to do. And so then, by that logic, why stop? And there's a million and one reasons why I could stop. My biggest hope is to gain some sort of audience, so that when I do step away from the full working world, I do have, even if it's the slightest bit, some amount of what's the word I'm looking for? Supplemental income. Because I won't be able to retire in the traditional sense by the time I'm 45. You can't pull on your Social Security or anything like that until you're 65. So it's like I would need to retire at 45, live off of whatever I've built for myself by then, and then hope that when 65 rolls around and I start getting my Social Security, that the combination of them both is enough to keep me going. I don't honestly know if that is doable, if it's feasible, but I do know that it is something that I should be considering. And so that's why it's tough. It's like, do I go hard with the practical things in life, or do I go hard with the practical things in life, or do I go hard on creativity? There's no right answer to that question. And the soft answer is to try and do both, but both of them suffer if you're not wholeheartedly focused on both of them. I think I'm fortunate enough to be in a place where I can kind of do both. I think creativity is winning over practicality right now, but it's not like practicality is losing by some phenomenal amount. And so hopefully I can reach a point where I can continue, and it might be a year by year situation, because I did the math for the remainder of this year, and I was like, okay, for the remainder of this year, if I can at least do X, then I will stay ahead. And then, or not ahead, but on schedule. And then I was like, okay, and then next year, if I'm able to really seriously crack down and do some excellent things, then I can pull ahead next year. And then 2026 would be an incredible pivotal year for me at that point, as I could potentially finally hit a major milestone for me. And then once that milestone is hit, I don't really know what I'll do. I could have made that light. Oh well, I stopped instead of went. But because that's what's wild to think about, and trying to understand these things and just trying to predict how things can be different. It's wild, and it's very interesting, and I just hope that I can do something incredible, and that I can reach a point in life where I can look back and be like, dang, I did it. I talk frequently about the whole idea of like, I can't get no satisfaction, and how that is one of the truest songs in the world. If you are a creative, or if you are somebody who strives to do something productive, you will find a point in your life where you feel as though you can't get any satisfaction, because when you accomplish one goal, you're moving towards the next. And more often than not, the next goal kind of evolves as you're completing the previous one. You're like, okay, now that I've got this one all figured out and sorted out, I think I'm going to move towards this, or I think I'm going to move towards that. And it's very interesting kind of predicament to be in. I don't at all mind it. It just means that, like, I feel like I'll never be completely satisfied with where I am. And maybe at some point in time I will be, and I'm not seeing it, but I see potential for things on the horizon that I think would be really awesome to kind of shoot for and aim for. And so hopefully I can, like I said, hopefully I can buckle down on the things that need to be done, and I can maintain this year, buckle down for the next, and then really start cranking away at both goals. Like I said, I think if everything goes according to plan, 2026 will be a huge year for me. And if nothing goes according to plan, then 2026 could be a lame year for me. I don't really know. But all I know is what I'm working with right now and trying to sort all of that out and figure out what will happen, what will come next, and what I will do with it, so on and so forth. But when it comes down to a game of practical success versus creative success, I lean towards creative success whilst building a practical safety net. And the practicality of it all is probably what's going to hinder my creativity, because I feel like a lot of people frequently say that it's an all or nothing gig. You either commit yourself entirely to it or you don't commit yourself to it at all. And I'd say I'm probably a 70-30, maybe 65-35 more, if I'm being honest with myself. 65% creative success and 35% practicality. That's just me being realistic with where I stand, and might honestly even be a bit of an overstatement as to how much I'm giving to creativity. But I am trying very hard to get somewhere creatively and to be able to do something creatively. And all that is to say that, like, there's a lot of time between now and the end of the road, and things are going to come up that are going to derail plans. And I just have to hope that things also come up that can make the plans blow up in a positive way. Positive blow-ups are a lot more rare than negative blow-ups, but we should still be able to accomplish them. And so hopefully I can reach a point where I can accomplish that, and hopefully I can get somewhere awesome. And that's really all I can shoot for, and all I can hope for, and all I can want. I think it is smart to try and build both without letting one sacrifice the other too much. And we'll just have to go from there and see what happens. And hopefully we can accomplish something, because it would be tragic if I were to just do all of this and balance all of this work and do all of these things only for nothing to become of it. I think that would be the truest tragedy of it. It's kind of the truest tragedy of what I'm already facing, in that I have lost the gain out of these 24 365 videos. I will have put so much into this and gotten so very little out. But I feel like it's more of a self-defense mechanism, but I tend to look inside for what I got out of it, so to speak, to where I'm like, okay, well, what I got out of this was a lot of stuff for myself and not the stuff that I initially started or wanted to get out of it. And like I said, I feel that's more of a self-defense mechanism to justify having done this than it is facing reality. But that's where I am. And I thank you for stopping by. And maybe you put some thought into practical success over creative success. I don't know. I did. I spoke all morning about it.